Saluton from BA. This is a Rorschach Multilateral update from the 1st of April 2025, a summary of what's going down in the world's major multilateral institutions. This week, we will begin with a story on how Ukraine is maintaining stability during Russia's invasion. On Friday the 28th, the International Monetary Fund released a financial report on the country with new research on the consequences of the Russian aggression. The report stresses the importance of strengthening anti-corruption agencies and aligning laws with EU standards. Delays in reforms have been harmful as they have hindered foreign investment and economic recovery. It also argued that increasing accountability in the government is key. Inflation is stabilizing and fiscal policies are being adjusted to maintain economic resilience. The findings emphasize the need for sustained reform efforts, particularly due to the damage to infrastructure in the energy and transportation sectors. Additionally, the report found that although a lot of money has already been allocated to aiding Ukraine, international cooperation to support the long-term recovery and stability of the country must continue. In the Americas, on Saturday the 29th, the Inter-American Development Bank introduced a regional initiative aimed at improving disaster preparedness, response and recovery in Latin America and the Caribbean. The program seeks to strengthen regional collaboration, improve readiness, ensure swift responses, and bolster financial protection against disasters. Next up, the UN World Food Programme warned on Friday the 28th that 58 million people across almost 30 regions, including Gaza, Sudan, Syria, and Congo, are at risk of severe hunger due to a major funding shortfall. Donations have dropped by 40% this year, partially driven by the Trump administration's reduced funding of the program, which has significantly impacted food aid distribution. The organization stresses that without urgent support, millions could face starvation, worsening already dire humanitarian conditions in these areas. In the Caucasus, on Thursday the 28th, Armenia's deputy foreign minister met with the Secretary General of the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe to discuss regional peace efforts. They highlighted Armenia's dedication to peace and normalizing ties with neighbors, emphasizing the urgency of finalizing the Armenia-Azerbaijan peace treaty to ensure long-term regional stability. However, despite Armenia's readiness to sign, Azerbaijan has introduced new preconditions delaying the process. For context, Azerbaijan and Armenia have had several severe conflicts since the fall of the Soviet Union over 30 years ago. Several international organizations have attempted to mediate the ongoing conflicts, sometimes without success, but this is a positive development. On another note, on Sunday the 30th, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz stated that the European Union is prepared to respond if the US imposes tariffs on steel and aluminum. Speaking at the Hanover Industrial Trade Fair, he emphasized the EU's commitment to free trade and competitiveness. He said that while Europe is open to collaboration, it will take a unified stand if the US moves forward with tariffs. Scholz also addressed trade tensions, emphasizing that trade wars harm everyone and stressing the importance of cooperation over protectionist policies. Recall that Scholz has tried to maintain productive relations with Trump while standing up for Germany and the European Union. He often emphasizes the importance of stable transatlantic relations, which he believes the US must play a big part in. That being said, he has also criticized Trump's stance on NATO and his overall confrontations with Europe. In Asia, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations decided on Sunday the 30th to send an emergency response team to both Myanmar and Thailand due to the recent earthquake. The team will focus on assessing and assisting with immediate needs following the impact of recent calamities. The deployment aims to provide much-needed relief and support in coordination with local authorities. Member nations are working together to ensure swift assistance in these affected regions, emphasizing the importance of solidarity and collaboration. On Friday the 28th, the UN Human Rights Office condemned Israel for violating international law by conducting forced evacuations in Gaza. Israel has said it has been evacuating civilians to protect them from Hamas militants, though international critics have pointed to the evacuations being forced and Israel's general violence towards the civilian population. The UN specifically says that these actions, which have displaced tens of thousands in northern Gaza, breach humanitarian law, as forced transfers are prohibited. Israel's military operations have intensified this month, with evacuation orders affecting large areas of Gaza. The UN stresses that these evacuations failed to provide necessary protections for those displaced, further fueling concerns over human rights violations in the region. In defense news, Sweden, NATO's newest member, announced on Wednesday the 26th that its new Gripen jets will patrol alliance borders for the first time. The 6 fighter jets, which are designed for a potential conflict with Russia, are now stationed in Poland as part of NATO's air surveillance mission. This marks Sweden's first operational contribution to NATO's defense since joining. On Saturday the 29th, the UN Secretary-General condemned an attack in the Central African Republic that killed a Kenyan peacekeeper who was murdered the day before during a patrol. The UN expressed condolences to the peacekeeper's family and Kenya. The Secretary-General emphasized that attacks on peacekeepers can be considered war crimes and called for swift action to find and punish the attackers. Meanwhile, on Tuesday the 25th, the World Health Organization called for an urgent transformation in global mental health policies. The new guidance highlights the need for significant changes in leadership, service organization, workforce development, and person-centered care. The organization stressed that mental health services are often underfunded and inadequately resourced, leaving many individuals without the support they need. This guidance aims to assist governments in creating mental health systems that are accessible, inclusive, and capable of addressing the full spectrum of mental health needs. In other news, on Friday the 28th, Sudan announced that it is bringing a case against the United Arab Emirates, or UAE, before the International Court of Justice, accusing the UAE of involvement in genocide during Sudan's ongoing conflict. The case alleges that the UAE's support for the Rapid Support Forces, or RSF, led to ethnic attacks against non-Arab communities in Darfur. In a new team-up, on Wednesday the 26th, the Economic Community of Western African States and the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development announced they will be considering a regional cooperation plan. This initiative aims to improve collaboration in areas like digital transformation, green energy, agriculture, and climate change, with the goal of fostering greater integration and sustainable development within West Africa. The process will involve stakeholders from both regional and international levels to ensure that the plan aligns with the specific priorities and needs of the region. For our last story this week, on Wednesday the 26th, the Pan American Health Organization, or PAHO, warned of a rise in yellow fever cases across the Americas. In the first 3 months of 2025, over 100 cases were reported in Bolivia, Brazil, Colombia, and Peru, leading to over 50 deaths. The PAHO stresses the need for at least 95% vaccination coverage in at-risk populations to curb the spread of the disease. Only one of the recent cases had been vaccinated, highlighting gaps in prevention efforts across the region. Yellow fever is a disease transmitted by mosquitoes to people, primarily in tropical regions like those in Africa and South America. Symptoms can vary, but they range from a mild fever and body pain to severe liver damage and internal bleeding, which can be deadly. No specific treatment has been found yet, but vaccination provides long-term protection against the disease. And that's it for this week. Thank you for joining us. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. And don't worry, subscribing to the Rorschach Multilateral Update won't cost you a thing. By subscribing, you are helping us grow and continue bringing you the updates you love. Tune in on your favorite podcast platform. See you next week.